Here's the other thing. These are numbered. Dun, dun, dun. And if you guys have purchased some knockoff tickets online, then you're going to get busted. No, I'm just kidding. These are, yeah, they're on eBay. These are highly specialized Aspire Academy tickets, and they start at a certain number, which has been communicated already to the staff taking the tickets over there. As far as I know, there's not like bonus go-kart tickets floating around northern Michigan going for high prices. I just want to take this opportunity to go over a couple things that pertain to the rest of our time here together. I don't see Mrs. Cook in here at the moment. There she is. If you are a student in high school and you have not finalized your schedule with Mrs. Cook, I want to invite you to take the opportunity at some point this afternoon, if possible, or in the moment there between the end of our activities and the beginning of supper, and maybe even knowing Mrs. Cook, she would probably even dedicate some of her supper time to meeting with you guys. This is going to be a great opportunity if you've not yet finalized your schedule with Mrs. Cook to meet with her and make sure that gets completed, okay? All right? So chase her, well, you don't have to chase her down. Find her and let her know. And here's the deal. I've already watched her hunt down students. So if you're not looking for her, it's quite likely that she's going to be looking to find you to finalize your high school schedule. I do want to thank all the families that took the time, especially high school parents and students this time to meet, and thank Mrs. Cook as well, to meet over the summer. Our goal for those of you who are returning next year, and I know it seems crazy to talk about what we're doing next year, is that we finalize your class schedule sometime in April so that you know what you're doing in the coming year. All right, so those are just some important things to think about. Team, am I forgetting anything important that we need to share here that is relevant to everything we're doing? I'm going to think of it. And if I remember well, Miss Mindy is doing her thing. I won't rush up and take the mic from you. I'll wait till the end. I do want to share with you, just while I have the time here, our activity time that starts at around 3 o'clock, there's a handful of things that are available for you guys to do. If you've not yet walked around the lake, it's a commitment, okay? It's less than 3 miles, so it's like you're going to need 45 minutes to an hour, maybe longer if you want to stop at some of the benches and look at some of the wildlife. It's beautiful. But it occurred to me that some of you may not know a great place to get onto the boardwalk. You can see it across the lake. I wouldn't recommend swimming across to the boardwalk where it's visible. If you walk down this hill, and start kind of leaving camp a little bit, there's a sign there that has some information. Just to the left of that sign is where the boardwalk starts. And it ends at a really cool bridge, a hanging bridge, the mini Mackinac Bridge, over near our nature center. So if you wanted to incorporate a walk around the lake with a visit to the nature center, that may be something you would want to consider. And also know that if you graduate from Aspire Academy, one of the final tests is walking across the hanging bridge in order to get your diploma. Yeah, so we did it with 4 students last year. We're doing it with more students this year. I can't wait until I have 20 kids trying to get across that bridge. It'll be good. The hard part may be getting you out of the canoes, that you have to also, there's a canoeing aspect to graduation as well. And that may interest some of you who are still deciding whether or not to take my canoeing tour class this spring in just preparation for graduation. I don't know, I'm going to forget something, but luckily it doesn't matter. I can come up here later and talk to you about it. I'm so excited that I've been saying Miss Mindy. Okay, perfect. I'm so excited that Miss Mindy is here. we started a working relationship with her last year, about halfway through the year, I think. And through my experience in talking with parents about the importance of what a school counselor does, I became aware that there's not a lot of clarity sometimes in what that field offers in terms of support to students and to parents. And it's so valuable what she's able to do in terms of supporting our school at Aspire. And even if you think it may not directly apply to you, I know that there's things that Miss Mindy is going to discuss with you today that will be important and impactful in using to be successful in your academic experience at Aspire Academy. So thank you guys for being here. It means a lot. It certainly means a lot to me that you guys are here. Even though I shot out that text that said you have to come, it really means a lot that you showed up. But I'm really excited to have Mindy come up here and share with you about what she does and how it could be a blessing and benefit to you. But let me have a word of prayer before we start, and then I'll turn the time over to Mindy. Let's pray. Thank you again, Lord. This has been a theme that keeps coming up over and over, but it's so beautiful outside. The weather is perfect. It's not uncomfortably warm in this room, Lord, and for anyone who's been in this room, when it's warm, we praise you that much more. Lord, we're going to chat here about some important things, maybe some heavy things to consider, maybe some things that we don't always feel comfortable talking about, Lord. But at the end of the day, we want to lean into every conceivable resource that's available to us to help us be supportive and loving and to set everyone up to be successful, Lord. And to that end, I just pray for a blessing on Mindy as she shares and an openness in our hearts to hear the message that she's bringing here to share with us today. We pray these things, Jesus, in your name. Amen. Absolutely.
Capstone. Raise your hand. First Capstone event too. Yes, good company. It has been so good to get to know see some of my friends last year. I'm with here at, is that good? We got it, Matt? I'll just project. Oh.
This may be
Is this better?
We'll do two.
Ooh, very fancy. So again, my name is Miss Mindy. That's what I go by. And I am very privileged to be partnering with Aspire families and really journeying together. And some of starting our journey together, I thought maybe I would share with you my personal journey, my professional journey. I am an Adventist elementary educator and an Adventist school counselor, and I think a lot of times there's a misconception around a school counselor versus a therapist, right? Because it's got the word counselor in it, right? So a lot of times kids think, oh my goodness, if I work with Miss Mindy, she's going to lay me across like some Chase lounge and she's going to unpack all of my deepest, darkest secrets, right? That feels intimidating, right? But a school counselor is different. A school counselor gets to partner with you to make sure you are successful at school, which is really cool. And sometimes stuff that's going on at home can impact your success at school, right? So maybe we will talk about stuff going on at home. Or maybe we will talk about friendships, because friendships impact how well you do at school, right? Or maybe we'll talk, Austin, about learning, right? Because how you learn and how God has designed your brain is really important in making sure that you are successful at Aspire. So those are the things that I get to do, and I do them all over the country with all kinds of Adventist schools, but I get to do it with my Aspire family, and so I'm so glad we get to journey together. In sharing my journey, there's another part of my journey too, which is my daughter's educational journey. All right, so I have 2 daughters, and they are in grades, let me think, 5th grade. Raise your hand if you're in 5th grade. Let me see my 5th graders. Yes, awesome, yes. Okay, so I have a 5th grade daughter. Her name is Elliot. And then I have a 7th grade daughter named Brinley. Any 7th graders? Let me see my 7th graders. Yes, awesome, yes. Okay. So they too are like you, and they have been learning at home. They didn't always learn at home. Before 2019, they went to Adventist brick and mortar schools, right? Real buildings with real doors and not virtual classrooms, but in-person classrooms, right? Raise your hand if you have been to a brick and mortar school, attended a brick and mortar school. Yes, good, yes. So they attended brick and mortar schools. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, we shifted. We shifted into learning at home. And that's my favorite term. There's lots of terms out there. Remote learning, virtual learning, learning by technology, right? But no, it's school at home. Right? School at home. You guys get to do school at home. And so you can see there we had a school at home classroom. And later we're going to talk about how to set up your own learning space. Raise your hand if you already have your school at home learning space set up. Austin does. Awesome. Curtis does. Awesome. I love this. Good. And it's okay if you don't. And I'll share with you what are some of the things that I've recently done for our school at home environment. And so check this out. Now, more and more, and this is a statistic from the beginning of last school year, so just a year ago, but the study was done of 504 families by the Washington Post. And they listed some reasons for doing school at home. And here were some of them that resonated with me. Concern about school environment, right? Like, I'm not sure if it's a safe school environment or the influences are safe, right? To prevent liberal influences, either by peers or by educators. Parents wanted to provide better religious instruction, both at home and then in the instruction that their children were receiving. And then finally, parents wanted to accommodate special needs or behavioral issues that they were seeing in their kids, right? Parents, raise your hand if those reasons resonate with you. Those reasons resonated with me too. And so here are kind of my reasons, and everybody has different reasons, but I'm being really open because we're journeying together, right? You're my Aspire family, so I'm going to be pretty transparent. Here are my reasons. So Brinley in 7th grade is smart, like really smart. She's very gifted, and yet I have yet to see her academically challenged. In fact, some of her testing, those of you who know MAP testing, some of her MAP testing is showing that she is in collegiate level learning, right? So I wanted to make sure that she was challenged. Last school year, we decided to take a risk and put her in a non-denominational Christian school. It wasn't an Adventist school. And as a 6th grader, she was slapped in the face in Bible class by a classmate 3 times. And then a Bible teacher used an inappropriate body term. And she was cornered by a male teacher in a private room. So, thank you, Mama. So, all of those things said to me, whoa, we got to do school at home, right? I need to keep my kids safe. And more importantly, my kids have to develop this beautiful, intense relationship with Jesus, right? So that's Brinley's story, and those are my reasons. Here's Elliot's story. And I chose this picture on purpose because she is energy, right? She will sit in a classroom and she wants very much to please the people around her, but she also wants to get through things fast. Raise your hand, students, if you want to thank you, sir. Yes, you are my guy. You want to get through, let's get through this, right? I got fun things to do, places to go. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, right? She is like that. She will learn and she will focus, but she wants to get through fast. She's the person who says, am I going to finish my test before everyone else? Right? She also, and I think that was born out of her starting school during COVID. So she didn't have a great foundation for how to learn and build that attention span. The other piece about Elliot is that she is anxious. So she gets very nervous and afraid she's going to disappoint people and that people will be upset with her. And so that was keeping her from showing up to a brick and mortar school every day. She would beg us, can anyone relate? Maybe just nod your head if you can relate to not wanting to show up to school some days. Like, yes, thanks, guys. Yeah, I like it, a solid hand raise. You know what? Teachers sometimes don't want to show up to school, too. You can raise your hands. It's okay. No judgment, no judgment. But she would beg us, please don't make me go to school. Please don't make me go to school. So we have made, as a family, a very conscious, intentional choice to do school at home. And all of you families and all of you parents and all of you students have made a conscious, intentional decision to learn from home. How proud of yourselves are you for making that choice? I'm proud of you. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's not an easy decision to make. And in fact, Ellen White calls us as parents, us as families, us as educators to do just that. Check this out. This is in the book Education. She says, the use of object lessons, blackboards, maps, and pictures will be an aid in explaining these lessons and fixing them in the memory. Parents and teachers, that's us, should constantly seek for improved methods. The teaching of the Bible should have our freshest thought, our best methods, and our most earnest effort. And if I put that into 2024 context, here's how I read it. Okay, school at home. The use of objects lessons, blackboards, or maybe Google Meet's whiteboard as we know it, maps or map testing, pictures, and Canvas discussion will aid in explaining our lessons. You are being intentional with your education. Students, give yourselves a round of applause because this isn't easy either. So today I have 5 parenting tricks for doing learning at home. Somebody say 5 parenting tricks. Good. And then I have 5 Daniel do's for students learning at home. Somebody say 5 Daniel do's. Good. And these parents come from commonsense.org. And the first one, read it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Set up for success. Good. So this is what you're doing right now. You showed up to Capstone, you've done the registration, you've paid your initial fees, you're going to get your Chromebooks tomorrow. You are setting up just as if you were doing back to school in a brick and mortar school. It looks a little different, but here's what we want to do. Let's treat this just like you would back to school. So make your space. My daughters and I did a back-to-school shopping trip the other day. And we have pencils, we have paper, but what we did do is we thought, how's our learning environment going to look at our house, right? We have a relatively small house. It's a log cabin up on top of a mountain. And so I had to be creative. And so we ordered 2 carts that they can wheel with them. It's like their mobile learning unit. And we filled them with all of their supplies, right? Your learning units are gonna look unique, right? Some of you might have them in your rooms. Some of you might have them in an off-site campus. But personalizing that space and making it a place you want to be at. You saw our lemon classroom. Did you see that classroom? We decided on that theme because we were making lemonade out of lemons that year, right? So make it yours and personalize. The other piece is to set a routine. So parents, you know that consistency is so important for your kids, but for them to have a set wake-up time, just as if you were going to a brick and mortar school, just as if you had them, you got to be in the van at 7:30, whatever it is, you're going to do that. You're going to set your alarms. Are you guys setting your alarms already? Get back in that routine, right? Right? So set a routine, and sometimes parents, it helps to have that schedule, their class schedule on a wall that they can reference, right? That, especially for younger grades, that visual that they can see. And then finally, review expectations. The last 2 days have been expectations that your Aspire teachers have for you, right? That's why you're here, is to understand what's expected of you. But then parents, go home and reinforce those expectations, right? 2 documents that I love that are helpful, and you can access them with the QR codes, is a digital learning pledge for students. This is their commitment on how to do learning at home. And then an agreement, a digital learning agreement, that they're committed to doing it. Okay? All right. Parent tip number 2 for learning at home. You read it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Stay focused. I think that this is one of the hardest things about learning at home, but it's such a good skill to learn to stay focused, even in home environment where it's not as rigid. My girls came from, it wasn't like preferential seating or anything like that. They had rows of desks, and their teacher made them stand up when the teacher came in the room. It was rigid, right? So in that environment, you have to stay focused. But learning at home is tougher. You have to kind of zone in so your students don't zone out, right? So one of the strategies here, and especially for younger grades, is to keep them close. Keep your kids close. When they go in their bedrooms and close the doors, that's when they're in their bunks and they're, off task and whatever. But if you were there and present and actively engaged, you're helping them zone in so they don't zone out. Encourage self-regulation, and this is a really important one because students can sometimes struggle with managing their emotions. And when us teachers are on screens, we can't really reach across the screen and help a student as much as we would like, right? And so helping students tap in to their feelings is going to be really important. Some of the things that I do for my daughters is I have a learning kit, right? And we do a lot of talking about toys versus tools. So some of these look real fun, but we've chosen the fidgets that will help my 5th grade. Remember, she wants to get it done and be done. Remember her? So the tools that help her stay on task, stay focused, and not be anxious. So one of my very expensive back-to-school investments is my 64-cent jar of Play-Doh. I highly recommend my kids are doing it nonstop during school at home. So it keeps them focused. It helps take their anxiety out. So this is a great investment. And then finally, play pretend. So if you see your student is off task, disengaged, even if it's an older student, having them use their empathy skills and step into the shoes of that teacher or the other classmates and say, imagine what it would be like if you were a classmate and you were working really hard and then you saw you goofing off or messing around or whatever, right? So use that kind of bird's eye view to re-engage them. Okay, parent tip number 3, read it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Encouraging ownership and effort. So I think when we are looking to get kid buy-in, we're really wanting to engage their interests and their input. So thinking about what your student is into. Maybe they're into Minecraft. Maybe they're into animals, or last year my daughter was really into capybaras, right? Whatever your child is into, try to personalize. Wait, do I have some capybara lovers? Did I hear that? Yes, man, yes. So tailor their learning to their specific needs, right? And let your teachers know if they're really into something, because teachers can tailor it that way too. Something else that I love is make sure you're still praising them, right? So I think often when all of the instruction is happening online, we don't necessarily have as much understanding of what's happening during their school day because we're a little bit removed from the process too, right? So when you are praising your kid, it needs to sound specific. I am so proud of this writing assignment you did, the detail you put in there. I'm so proud at how hard you tried at your math test. And then finally, and this is a little bit unique for us because a lot of the work you're doing is virtual, but we want to still be, just like if they came home with a pack of take-home papers, print those assignments out and put them on the fridge, right? These are still brag-worthy assignments. All right, parent tip number 4. Ready? Read it with me. 1, 2, 3. Managing motivation. So again, start from your students' strengths, and then again, get excited for them. Oh my goodness, this is your first research paper, right? What? I know, that's laughable. Except my 5th grader knows she's got a research paper coming up, and we're already like, okay, what are the topics that you want? What are your interests, right? So building that interest with it. And then finally, use natural consequences. So here's something my family has done when we're learning at home. We have 2 jars this year, and every day that they complete all of their tasks, plus practicing their piano, plus practicing their guitar, plus doing chores, they put a marble in, and each marble represents $3. make learning at home powerful. Last one, parents, here we go. You say it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Make room for well-being. So parents, we know we're our own worst critics, right? And I think especially in this journey, we can be struggling on, are we doing the right thing for our child? I mean, we had all those reasons at the beginning, but we're tailoring and we're watching and we're questioning and whatever. So be a good friend to yourself. Don't be afraid to resource help when you need it. I am very open with the fact that I have anxiety, and learning at home increases my anxiety as a parent, right? So my doctor and I work on anxiety meds together, and I regularly go to counseling to manage my own anxiety. And then finally, use movement and humor. One thing that has surprised me is that my girls and I, when we're learning at home, we're laughing a lot. I'm surprised by it. We're laughing at our learning or our efforts at learning or whatever it looks like, but we're laughing together. Another thing we're doing is we're using movement. So this year we have the Peloton app. We do not own a Peloton, but we have the Peloton app, and we are doing brain breaks with it. They have 5-minute brain breaks, and then we're doing 30-minute exercises. There's exercises that are kid-friendly with dogs and blow-up dice and beach balls and all kinds of things. So we're intentional about movement. So parents, these are your 5 recommendations. But I think one of the fears we have, specifically around our students' mental health, is that they will feel alienated, right? That they're going to be so removed from students and in-person contact that they will start to feel alienated. This is from the International Review of Research in Open and Distributed Learning. So this says, in distance education, those students who possess strong feelings of community are more likely to persist than students who feel alienated. So we want our kids to have a sense of community. So here are 5 Daniel do's, students, for how to feel connected. And what I love, and Mr. Zork knows this, we have an example of a biblical school in Daniel 1, and some of you remember me referencing this last year, but I've really dug into it a little bit more because Daniel 1 talks about the Babylonian school. And this was a school that took all of those Israelite boys captive and brought them for 3 years of language, literature, and culture. 3 years of it. They were learning brand new languages. It was intense. And the purpose was to serve the king. By the time that they were done with school, the purpose of this school was to prepare them to serve the king. And yet they were removed from that brick and mortar back in Israel school that they were used to, and they were in a completely new foreign learning environment, just like you guys. And yet Daniel found favor with the chief of the eunuchs and advocated for what he needed in order to be successful. So here's the expectation of this Babylonian school. King Nebuchadnezzar wanted, and this is a quote, wanted children who were of good appearance, who were well educated, who were capable of learning and understanding and were able to serve. That's a pretty big expectation, right? So here are 5 Daniel do's. Somebody say 5 Daniel do's. 5 Daniel do's for getting connection during learning at home. All right, and here's the cool thing. These are all from the book of Daniel, and these are specifically for you students, but there's some parent tips in here too. So the first one, read it on the count of 3 up there by number 1. 1, 2, 3. Grow strong friendships. So we see in Daniel 1 that he grew strong friendships. Here it is. Daniel 1, verse 6. Now from among those of his sons of Judah were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Or what do we know them as? Thank you. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And were those just like temporary friends, or did those become lifelong friends? Lifelong friends. So you, in your unique learning environment, that's how Aspire describes our school, is unique. You can develop strong friendships that will last you a lifetime. So be very intentional to surround yourselves with both online friends and in-person friends. And I'm working hard at this for my own daughters, right? So we're doing Zooms with some of their friends online. But then I'm also scheduling play dates. I'm inviting them over. We did a Valentine's party last year where all of these kids came to our home. So getting a mixture to build your core friendship group is going to be important. And then parents, and I'm working on this too, right? Encourage healthy friendships with open door policy. And here's what I mean by that. First of all, when my girls are online doing online chatting or Zoom meetings with their friends or whatever, I make sure their doors are open, right? That's just me being a good, responsible parent and supervising. I'm not snooping. I'm not, listening. I'm just being aware, right? And then with their in-person friends, I am very intentional to invite those friends into our home. Not send them off to sleepovers, not send them for trips away. We're bringing them into our home again because we are responsible parents, right? Number two, Daniel do. Ready to read with me on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Purpose to serve the king with excellence. Right? The whole point of that Babylonian school was to create servants to the king. Our whole point of Aspire is to create servants to our king, right? So students, and I'm doing this with my girls, we're opening our journals, we're definitely doing worship every day, but at the beginning of each week, set goals of areas you want to be excellent in. What academic areas this week do you want to be excellent in? What relationships do you want to be excellent in? How's your walk with Jesus? How do you want to be excellent in that this week? And then parents, think about that word service, not servant, service. A brick and mortar school might have like 1 or 2 service projects a year, maybe on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but having learning at home really opens opportunities for you to increase service to others, right? Whether it's acts of kindness, whether it's volunteering. One area that we're going to try really hard on this year is my husband is a pastor for hospice, and we are going to work on volunteering at the hospice with these people who have a very short lifetime, right? So ways that you can have your family be servants for the king. All right, number 3, Daniel, do you read it with me? 1, 2, 3. Be intentional with quiet time and calming strategies. Here's what I love. This is still in the book of Daniel, but it's way over in Daniel 6, verse 10. It says, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home. What's happening in Daniel 6? Anybody know? Thank you, Mama. It was a decree, but this was that they should not pray. Yes, same. That they shouldn't worship anybody but the king. You're right. And what does Daniel do? He knows about the decree. He goes over and opens his window and prays, right? Here's the line that means the most, right here. as was his custom since early days. You know what that means? He's been doing that since he was a child, right? And so if we are being intentional with quiet time, right, mindfulness strategies, calming tools, whatever it is, that's going to help our nervous system calm down. So one of the things that I have for you students is, and those students who have a phone, this is worth accessing through the QR code, is a calming cabana for elementary students and a calming cabana for high school students. And this is a place that you can come, and there's all kinds of breathing strategies and coping mechanisms and Jesus-centered music and nature videos, all kinds of stuff to help you regulate your emotions. And parents, observe what triggers your students and offer them tools and strategies themselves or yourself. And if you see that there's something that specifically works, let your teacher know, right? Your teacher is happy to be like, I can tell that you're feeling big feelings. You want to take a few deep breaths, right? Or accessing some of those coping mechanisms. All right, number 4 on your Daniel do's. We've got 2 more. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Find favor with adult mentors. So back in Daniel 1, here's what he does, and I love this. This is verse 3. Daniel sought out Ashpenaz. Who was Ashpenaz? Anybody know? He was the king's helper or a eunuch, right? Sought out Ashpenaz in order to problem solve. He made that adult his go-to adult in his life. All of the other students had access to Ashpenaz, but Daniel was the one who said, no, this is an adult who can really help me. So students, I want you to look around in your life, whether it's your life on screen, whether it's your life in real life at Pathfinders, at church, in Sabbath school, whether it's in sports, whether it's in your music lessons, whatever it is, be on the lookout for adults who really connect with you. Then I want you, once you've identified some grown-ups in your life, talk with your grown-ups at home and say, how can I get to know this person better? How can I do things with them more? My Brinley and Elliot every Tuesday go up to our neighbor's house. They're retired, and they sew. They just sew. Do they love sewing? No, but they love the adults who do sewing with them, right? So find those adults in your world. Parents, discuss and identify with your kids adults that they want to spend additional time with, and then resource those adults, right? Bring them into their lives, right? Because there's going to come a time when you aren't your kid's go-to person. I hate it. I don't want to hear it. La, la, la. But there's going to be a time when we're not our kids' go-to person. And so we want to have them with people around them that we love, right? And we know are invested in our kid to be those go-to people when we can't be. Last one. Last Daniel do. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Do mental health check-ins. So teachers, you can do check-ins, right? And you're going to do like, okay, do you feel fried like French fries today? Or do you feel all cozy like a warm burrito, right? You're going to do those fun things, right? But students, it's your job to be checking in to make sure you're okay, right? You are the number one in charge of you person. And so checking in with yourself regularly and saying, am I stressed out? Am I having trouble concentrating? Am I lonely? Am I discouraged? Right? Any of those things could be signs that you need someone like me, a school counselor, to come in and partner with you, right? This QR code is a form where you can do this is for students, a mental health check-in. in how you are doing, so that you can kind of say, okay, I think I need additional people in my world to support me right now. And parents, you do check-ins too, okay? Monitoring your students if they're not sleeping well at night or if they're sleeping too much, if they're not eating very much or if they're eating more than they normally do, right? Those are all signs. Are they able to sit still? Or are they lethargic all the time? All of those could be indicators that your kid needs extra support. And that extra support this year gets to come from consultation, which is school counseling in a consultation model, right? And this is designed specifically for parents and for students, all kinds of resources for you on that website. If you decide, you as a student or you as a parent, if you decide that you want additional support for your student, that's why I'm here. So I offer 30-minute sessions every week that are one-on-one virtually, that we unpack, like, how are you doing? How can I support you? What do you need maybe in your learning environment from teachers? What do you need at home? All of those things, right? That's what I get to do, and that's what I love. So this is a form where you can refer your student, or students, you can refer yourself to set up sessions with me, okay? And here is my contact information. Feel free to email me. This is my Aspire email. You can go to the website or my cell phone number. And you can tell this is our first day of Learning at Home's 2024-25 school picture. Do we look serious? No, so we better buckle down. Anyway, I'm here to support you. I love you each, and I love Aspire. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's awesome. I do want to point out, because we've had some questions coming about this. One of the realities is that we have to address globally, and we have that same responsibility within the church, is that if our children aren't supported holistically, socially, academically, spiritually, and the whole person, and with their mental health as well, we're leaving out an important aspect, very important aspect, that will contribute not only to their success academically, it's the direct tie-in with our school, but just in life, pursuing the plans that God's laid out before them. And because we recognize how important that is, what Mindy is doing for Aspire Academy is rolled into your child's tuition as well. So just wanted to clarify that if you feel there could be a service that she provides that would help your child's experience at Aspire, there wouldn't be a prohibiting financial component. So if your children are enrolled in our school, this is an important enough thing for education that we're making it available to you. So thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you again, Mindy. Really appreciate you being out here and sharing those awesome tips and just sharing what you do. So thanks again. Hey, we're going to let you guys go out and enjoy this weather. I do have some tickets here. Where'd they go? Oh, can you imagine? Just losing 1,000 rides.